I was holding a 3-layer white cream cake with 10 candles on it, each candle burning my last bit of dignity as a mother. Lucas stood in front of all his classmates, the 8-year-old boys in little suits and bow ties, and their mothers, the women who forever discussed summer camp and piano lessons in the parent group. Sophia Blake was standing in the front row, wearing her damn cream Max Mara coat, holding a glass of champagne and wearing that smile I've seen too many times. She is not my real mother. Lucas's voice was so clear that it could be heard in every corner of the banquet hall. He pointed at me and said, "My real mother is Sophia." I didn't even feel my fingers move as the cake slipped from my hands. It was a 3-layered cake that I spent all morning making. Each layer was Lucas's favorite flavor. The bottom layer was chocolate, the middle was vanilla, and the top was strawberry. I painted his favorite Marvel character on top with buttercream. I started preparing 3 days in advance and went to the bakery in Williamsburg to buy the most expensive food coloring because Daniel said, "Don't embarrass yourself at the birthday party." The cake hit the marble floor with a dull thud, splattering cream on my jeans and my old pair of flats that I'd had for 6 years. Everyone's eyes were fixed on me, and there was sympathy, embarrassment, and more of the kind of schadenfreude that is unique to suburban mothers who pretend not to notice. "Mom, go away." Lucas pushed me. His hands were small, but he pushed hard. I staggered back and my lower back hit the corner of the buffet. The dull pain spread from my spine to my whole body, but it was not as painful as the words he said. My son, who I was 9 months pregnant with, had a 26-hour natural birth, and nearly died on the operating table from massive postpartum hemorrhage, pushed me away in front of everyone. I looked at Daniel. He stood next to Sophia, so close that it made my stomach lurch. He wore a perfectly tailored navy suit and the same tie Lucas had given him for Father's Day last year, with "World's Best Dad" emblazoned on it. He looked at me with no anger, no distress, or even embarrassment in his eyes. There's only one look I've ever seen on board meeting minutes, a calm, assessing, problem-solving look. "Stop it, Emily," he said. "Not Lucas, how could you do this to your mother? Not come here, son, and apologize to mommy. It's stop it, Emily." It seemed like I was causing trouble. It seems like I dropped the cake on the floor. It was as if I had ruined the carefully planned show between him and Sophia at this carefully planned birthday party. "She's not my mother," Lucas said again, this time louder. He turned around and hugged Sophia's waist, burying his face in her $3,000 coat. Sophia looked down at him, reached out and touched his hair, as gently as a real mother. She looked up at me. I still remember that look. Not the triumph of the winner, not the guilt of the third party, but something more cruel, taken for granted. "She's saying, you should have known your place." Jessica Miller walked over. She was the vice president of the Parents' Council and always knew everyone's gossip. She took my arm and said in a low voice, "Emily, do you want to go to the bathroom to tidy up first?" She was giving me a decent exit. An excuse for everyone to pretend nothing happened. I looked down at myself. There's an indelible paint stain on the knee of his jeans that Lucas got on last week while working on a school project that I haven't had time to deal with. The gray sweater is pilled and a little loose at the collar because I've had it for 3 years. My hair was tied into a ponytail, without styling or care, because I got up at 5:30 this morning to bake a cake. I didn't even put on lipstick. Sophia stood opposite, with long golden brown hair hanging loosely on her shoulders, delicate but not strong makeup, neatly manicured nails, painted in a low-key bean paste color. Every detail of her body says, "I have time to take care of myself because I am a successful woman and you are not." I heard someone whispering, "She seemed to be a photographer before and it's completely invisible now." Those words penetrated like needles. Yes, I used to be a photographer. I've shot the cover of Vogue, shot Taylor Swift behind the scenes of her tour, and I have 2 million followers on Instagram. I used to fly back and forth between New York, Paris, and Tokyo, and my works were auctioned at Sotheby's. I was once Emily Chen, no, Emily Carter. That Carter was the last name I added after I got married, that name that once meant something. But that was 7 years ago. 7 years ago I was pregnant and had morning sickness so severe that I was hospitalized for dehydration and Daniel said you should rest. I had postpartum depression after giving birth to Lucas and Daniel said you should focus on your family. When Lucas was 1 year old I got an invitation to go to Berlin for 3 days and Daniel said, "How could you leave your son?" When Lucas was 3 years old and I wanted to come back, he said, "We have enough income and we don't need you to work." Then I slowly disappeared. It didn't disappear all at once, it was like an ebbing tide, receding a little bit day by day, until one day I stood in front of the mirror and realized that I was no longer there. "Emily." Daniel's voice pulled me back. He has walked up to me and put his arm on my shoulder. To outsiders, this action may seem like comfort, but I can feel the strength of his fingers, and he is pushing me hard. You're too tired today. Go back first and I'll ask the driver to take you there. He saw me as a problem that needed to be dealt with. I looked at Lucas, who was still holding Sophia and smiling at her. That smile is the smile I see when I wake him up every morning. The smile I see when I read him a bedtime story. The smile I see when I put him on the school bus. Now that smile is given to another woman, a woman who has stepped into my life in the past 6 months in the name of helping Lucas tutor math. Lucas. I called his name, my voice calmer than I expected. He didn't look at me. Lucas, look at me. He finally turned his head, still smiling, but the moment he saw me, that smile turned into a familiar expression, impatience. That kind of impatience that a 10-year-old has toward his mother, that there you go again look. Go away, he said. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Shame on you. I embarrassed him. I stood there as the cream slowly trickled out of the remains of the cake, drawing an ugly pattern on the white marble floor. I looked at my son, my husband, and the woman who was slowly replacing me. Okay, I said. I turned around and passed through the eyes that pretended not to see me, through the whispers, through the air that felt ashamed of me. When I walked to the door of the banquet hall, I heard Lucas saying loudly, Sophia, can you help me cut the cake? My mother's cake is so ugly. The door closed behind me. The hallway was quiet except for my footsteps and the distant sound of the dishwasher in the kitchen. I looked at myself in the hallway mirror, and that face was so unfamiliar that it scared me. Fine lines at the corners of the eyes, chapped lips, tired eyes. I don't know when I started to become a person that I can't even recognize myself. The phone vibrated. Message from Daniel, don't embarrass Lucas. He's just a kid. Go to the supermarket before you come back. We're out of milk. No apology. No explanation. Didn't ask if I was okay. Only milk. I looked at this message and suddenly remembered something. 7 years ago, when we were first married, Daniel would put coffee on the bedside table every morning before I woke up, with a note underneath the coaster that said I love you. I saved a whole box of those notes and put them in the innermost drawer of my closet, along with my award certificates. I don't know if the box of notes is still there. I don't know if the box of certificates is still there. I walked into the bathroom, locked the door, sat on the toilet seat, and stared at the gaps in the floor tiles for a long time. The lighting in the bathroom is warm yellow, very soft and warm. Like every corner of this home, it has been carefully designed and maintained, like a perfect bird cage. My phone vibrated again. This time it's the app push from Lucas' school. Emergency contact information for Lucas Carter has been updated. New contact, Sophia Black. Relationship, mother. I looked at that line of words for a long time. Until the screen dims automatically, until the bathroom light goes out because it hasn't sensed movement for too long. In the darkness, I heard my own breathing, very light and slow, like a dead person confirming whether he was still alive. It was already dark when I drove home. Daniel's car was not in the garage, and Lucas' school bag was thrown on the floor in the corridor, with a piece of paper falling out of it. I picked it up and it was an essay he wrote in school, titled My Family. My family includes Dad and Sophia. Sophia is beautiful, she has her own company, she takes me to eat sushi, she buys me Lego. My dad says she is the best mom. My dad said my biological mother used to be great, but now she is just a housewife. My dad said housewife is the easiest job, you don't have to do anything. I folded the paper and put it back in his bag. Then I walked into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator, and took out a carton of milk. I put the milk on the counter and stared at it for a long time. Daniel asked for milk. He didn't even ask me if I was okay when he asked me to buy milk. I picked up my phone and opened Instagram. My account hasn't been updated in 2 years. The avatar is still a photo of Lucas when he was 3 years old. He was riding on my shoulders and watching the cherry blossoms in Central Park. That was taken by Daniel. I smiled happily, and the sun hit my face, golden and warm. I clicked on Sophia's account. Her update stopped 2 hours ago. It was a selfie in the banquet hall, with Lucas's birthday cake in the background, the cake I made that was thrown to the floor. The accompanying text only has 3 words, happy. There are more than 300 comments below, all saying things like what a beautiful mother, what a happy family, you are such an angel. I continued to scroll down. Sophia's Instagram is a perfect showcase, with every photo carefully curated. She and Lucas were in the bookstore with the caption with my little bookworm. She sent Lucas to school with the caption good morning, first grade. She made breakfast for Lucas with the caption omelette with love. There are hundreds of likes and dozens of comments under each post, all saying what a great mom. And what about me? When was the last time I posted a photo of Lucas? Was it 3 months ago? Or 4 months ago? I can't remember exactly. I only remember Daniel saying, "Don't post too many photos of your children, it's not safe." I just remember him saying, "It's not good for you to post photos like this. Others will think you're too idle." I logged out of Instagram and opened my photo album. I turned to the photo of Lucas as a newborn. He was so small, so red, so wrinkled, lying on my chest, his eyes closed and his mouth slightly open. I had not slept for 36 hours. I was covered in sweat and my hair was a mess, but there was light in my eyes. That was me 7 years ago. A hopeful woman who has just become a mother. She didn't know what was waiting for her. Little did she know that that tiny, wrinkled baby would one day push her away in front of everyone and say, "You're not my mother." The phone vibrated again. Message from Daniel: "Lucas and I are having dinner at Sophia's house and will be back later. You don't have to wait for us." I threw my phone on the sofa, walked into the bathroom, and turned on the faucet. When the hot water hit my face, I realized I was crying. Not a loud, hysterical cry, but a quiet, silent tear, like my body was doing something for me that I had forgotten how to do. I'm reminded of what Daniel said: "You've changed. Look at yourself." Yes, I have changed. I no longer take pictures, no longer put on makeup, no longer hang out with friends, no longer read books, no longer watch movies, no longer have anything of my own. I became a tool that kept the family running, a tool that could be replaced. And Sophia, the always glamorous woman who owns her own company, is the replacement. I turned off the water and looked at myself in the mirror. Her wet hair stuck to her face, her eyes were red and swollen, and her lips were white. This face reminds me of something. How long has it been since I took a picture of myself? 1 year? 2 years? I opened the closet and dug into the innermost drawer. The box of notes is still there, and every one of those "I love you" notes has turned yellow, and some of the writing has been blurred. I took them out and looked at them one by one for an hour. Then I saw a photo at the bottom. We took it in Paris. I had just won a photography award. Daniel held me in his arms, with the Eiffel Tower behind him. The lights from the tower lit up the entire sky. I was wearing a red dress and smiled as brightly as a child. That was me 10 years ago. A woman who is not married yet, has no children, and has the whole world. I don't know where she is. I don't know when she left. All I know is that the woman standing in front of the mirror now is not her. The next morning, when Daniel came home, I had already made breakfast. Omelette, bacon, toast, freshly squeezed orange juice, same as every day. He walked into the kitchen and was stunned for a moment when he saw me. "What time did you come back last night?" he asked. "After you send the message." I handed him the coffee. "Are you okay?" When the question came out of his mouth, it sounded like a line. A line he was supposed to say in a specific scene. "I'm fine," I said. He nodded and sat down to eat his breakfast. "Lucas hasn't gotten up yet. He spent the night at Sophia's house and has to go directly to school from there today. Daniel said he would send him away and leave me alone. By the way," he took a bite of toast, "Sophia said that she can take Lucas skiing this Friday. What do you want to do that day?" Friday. I was supposed to take Lucas to the dentist on Friday because his braces needed adjusting. I silently canceled the appointment in my mind. "No," I said. "That's good." He took a sip of coffee. "Sophia said he has made great progress in math recently, so you don't have to worry." "Don't worry." I don't have to worry. Because my son's math is being taken care of by another woman. Because my son's breakfast was being prepared by another woman. Because my son's bedtime story was being read to me by another woman. Because the mother of my son is being replaced by another woman. And my husband told me not to worry. Daniel finished his breakfast, wiped his mouth, stood up and kissed my forehead. The kiss was light and short, like a routine. He picked up his briefcase and walked to the door, stopping suddenly. "That's right, Emily." "Huh? Your performance at the birthday party yesterday was really not good. I know you may not be feeling well, but you can rest at home and don't have to force yourself to come. Lucas and Sophia get along very well, so you don't have to follow them every time, every time." He used the word "every time." That means this isn't the first time, and it won't be the last. This means that in his plan, Sophia will appear more and more in Lucas's life, and I should stay at home obediently and be a quiet, out-of-the-way background. The door is closed. I stood in the kitchen, looking at the half-fried egg and cold coffee left on the table. The sun shines in from the window, shines on the cooking table, and shines on the box of milk I bought yesterday. I suddenly remembered something. The Max Mara coat that Sophia wore at yesterday's birthday party was given by Daniel for Christmas last year. He said it was a gift to his client and asked me not to think too much about it. I didn't think much about it. I never thought twice about it. Every time Daniel came home late, he said he was working overtime, and I believed him. Every time Sophia showed up at my door, saying she was here to see Lucas, I believed her. Every time Lucas says Sophia is better than you, I tell myself he's just a kid. I believed everything because it was easier to believe than to question. Because questioning means facing the truth, and facing the truth means admitting one thing: I lost myself, and then I lost my home. I picked up my phone and opened Sophia's Instagram. She posted a photo at 6 o'clock this morning. Lucas was in her kitchen at home, wearing pajamas and eating a bowl of fruit cereal. The caption read, "Good morning, my little son." The first comment below is from Daniel, "Red heart, there is only one red heart." I looked at that love heart and suddenly smiled. Not a happy smile, but a smile in which I finally understood something. It's like you've been looking at a painting, but you never understood what it was painting, until one day you took a few steps back and suddenly saw it clearly. That painting has never been home to me. The painting was of Daniel and Sophia and Lucas, and I was just the blurry, erasing background in the painting. I walked into the study and turned on the computer. I logged into my old mailbox, which contained over 1,000 unread emails, mostly spam and ads. But when I scrolled down, I saw an email from 3 years ago. The sender was a photo editor at the New York Times Magazine. "Emily, we would love to work with you again. Your work has a power we haven't seen in a long time. If you're ready, feel free to contact us." 3 years ago, I rejected this email. Because Lucas was going to kindergarten, because Daniel said the kids need you, and because I felt like I should be home. I clicked on the reply box, typed a few words, deleted them, typed a few more words, and deleted them again. I stared at the blank reply box for a long time until my eyes got sore. Then I turned off the email. Not now. I'm not ready yet. I was still wearing my pilled sweater, my hair was still a mess, and all I could think about was the scene where Lucas pushed me away from yesterday. I can't pretend to be a strong, independent woman at this time, because I'm not. I am just a woman washing dishes in the kitchen. The butter on the dishes has dried and it is difficult to wash. It takes a long time to soak in hot water. Like many things, the older it gets, the harder it becomes to clean. For the next 3 days, Daniel acted like a perfect husband. When he came home from get off work, he brought a bouquet of flowers, daisies, my favorite. He made a dinner, which was just pasta and salad, but he was busy in the kitchen for an hour while I sat on the couch and watched TV. He even poured me a glass of red wine before going to bed, sat next to me, and held my hand. "You're just too tired, Emily," he said. "I know it's been hard for you to take care of your children alone these past few years. I should help you more." I leaned on his shoulder, smelling the familiar smell of his cologne. This smell reminds me of when we first met. He was watching my exhibition in the gallery, wearing a white shirt, with the cuffs rolled up to his forearm, holding a glass of red wine in his hand. He came up to me and said, "Your work makes me want to cry." That was 11 years ago. I still remember his expression when he said that sentence, serious and sincere, and there was something in his eyes that I rarely see in men's eyes, understanding. I thought he understood me. I thought he saw things in my soul that others could not. Maybe he actually saw it. But then those things disappeared, along with his understanding. "Daniel," I said, "will you still love me?" He was silent for a moment. The silence was short, but I caught it. A person who truly loves will not remain silent until he answers this question. "Of course," he said, "you are my wife." Wife. Not a lover, not a soulmate, not the one who makes his heart beat. It's the wife. A social role, a legal identity, a functional label. That night, I lay in the dark and listened to Daniel's breathing become evener. He fell asleep, and his hand was still on my waist, but that hand had no warmth. Lucas also mellowed out a bit over the past 3 days. After he came back from Sophia's house, he took the initiative to run over and hug me, and said, "Mom, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have pushed you that day." I knelt down and looked into his eyes. His eyes were exactly the same as Daniel's, blue and calm, like lake water in winter. "It doesn't matter," I said. "Mom, will you still read me bedtime stories?" "Yes." That night I read The Little Prince to him, and my voice choked up when the fox said, "You are always responsible for what you tame." Lucas didn't notice that he had fallen asleep, still holding the Lego man that Sophia gave him in his hand. I gently put the book on the bedside table and looked at his sleeping face. His eyelashes are very long, like mine. His mouth was slightly open and he was breathing lightly. This small, soft life was created by me with my whole body, and I fed it with my own time, energy, dreams and youth. And now, he's calling another woman mom. I told myself that maybe I was really too sensitive. Maybe Daniel was right and I was just tired. Maybe Sophia really was just helping Lucas. Maybe this home can be saved. Maybe I just need to change myself and everything will go back to how it was before. I started working out. I get up at 5:30 every morning and do HIIT in the living room following YouTube. I started wearing makeup again, not the heavy makeup, but the I don't wear makeup but I'm naturally good-looking kind of light makeup. I bought new clothes, not expensive ones, clothes that fit me well and showed off my figure. I even made an appointment with my hairstylist to cut off the dry ends and dye them a more natural color. Daniel noticed. "You're looking good lately," he said. Lucas noticed too. He said, "Mom, you are so beautiful today." I started to think that maybe it could. Maybe I just need to be the me they like and everything will be okay. On Wednesday afternoon, I ended my fitness class early and wanted to go home and surprise Lucas. He's been learning division recently and he's always confused about the remainders. I thought I could help him review it. I bought his favorite strawberry Danish at Whole Foods, and Daniel's favorite cold brew coffee. I was even in a better mood as I drove home. The sun was shining brightly and an old song was playing on the radio that I remember from our first dance at the wedding. I hummed a few words, thinking that tonight we could have dinner and watch movies together as a family, just like before. I pulled into the garage and noticed Daniel's car was there. Did he get off work early today? I was a little surprised, but more than happy. Maybe he wanted to create a surprise too. I walked into the kitchen carrying my things, and the moment I opened the door, everything stopped. Sophia is standing in front of the counter in my kitchen, slicing tomatoes. She was wearing a white linen shirt, with the sleeves rolled up to her elbows, revealing her slender wrists and the Cartier bracelet that I recognized, the same style that Daniel gave me for our anniversary last year. But my one had long been worn out doing housework, and I kept it in my jewelry box and never wore it again. Daniel was standing behind her, one hand on her shoulder and the other hand tying the strings of her apron. His fingers stayed on the bow for a long time, so long that it seemed like a caress. Lucas was sitting at the bar, a glass of juice in his hand, dangling his legs, watching them and laughing. That kind of smile is something I have never seen before, a smile of satisfaction, peace of mind, and a sense of belonging. "Mom, can we do this every day?" Lucas said. My feet were nailed to the ground, as if they were nailed to something. My hands were shaking, and the bag of strawberry Danish slipped from my fingers with a soft sound. Daniel turned his head and saw me. His expression changed, but not much, except for a slight raise of his eyebrows, as if I had gone home early and disrupted his plan. "Emily," he said, "why are you back so early?" Not "why are you back?" It's "why are you back so early?" This difference is like a knife, accurately cutting through all my self-deceptions. I ended my workout early. My voice was very flat, so flat that even I couldn't recognize myself. Sophia put down the knife, turned around, and smiled at me. That smile was impeccable, with a little apology, a little embarrassment, and a little innocence of "I'm just helping." "Emily, don't get me wrong," she said. "Lucas said he wanted some of my pasta, so I came over. Daniel said it was okay. Daniel said it didn't matter. Of course it doesn't matter. Because this is his home, his kitchen, his wife, his son's mother. Of course he has the right to say it doesn't matter." Lucas jumped off the bar and ran over to Sophia, hugging her legs. "Sophia makes the best pasta, better than Mom's." I watched him hug another woman's legs and say the words "tastier than Mom's," and I felt like something was slowly tearing open my chest. It's not a sudden, sharp pain, but a slow, continuous tearing, like someone is tearing your skin apart bit by bit, letting you see the wounds inside that you thought were well hidden. "Lucas," I said, "didn't we agree to watch a movie together tonight?" He gave me a look that reminded me of Daniel. It's not the blue eyes that look like him, but the calm, evaluating look that looks like him. He was evaluating whether my request was worth giving up on Sophia's pasta. "But I want to eat Sophia's cooking." He said, "Mom, you can watch the movie tomorrow." Tomorrow. It's always tomorrow. My needs can always be pushed to tomorrow because tomorrow never comes. "Lucas, go wash your hands," Sophia said, her tone gentle but unquestionable, like a real mother speaking to her child. Lucas obediently ran to wash his hands. I looked at this scene, looking at the backs of Daniel and Sophia standing side by side in the kitchen, and suddenly realized one thing: I am not the mistress of this home. I am a guest in this house, an uninvited and intrusive guest. I turned and walked into the hallway. I needed to leave that kitchen, leave that image, leave that world that I increasingly didn't recognize. But when I walked to the stairs, I saw a folder on the cabinet in the corridor with Lucas's name written on it. I shouldn't have looked, but my hand reached out on its own. I opened the folder and inside were various files from Lucas' school. Registration forms, health records, emergency contact cards. I turned to the emergency contact card, and the content on it made me feel like the world stopped spinning for that second. Emergency contact, Sophia Black relationship with student, mother contact number, 917 XXXXXX mother. The writing is clear in black and white. Sophia Black is registered as the mother of my son. Not stepmother, not guardian, but mother. And I, Emily Carter, the woman who carried him for 9 months, gave birth to him for 26 hours, breastfed him for 2 years, and gave up everything to take care of him, no longer exists on official documents. I took the card and walked back to the kitchen. What is this? I held the card up to Daniel. He glanced at it, his expression unchanged. Oh, that, he said, just in case. Sophia's time is more flexible. If something happens at school, she is more convenient than you. She is more convenient than you. More convenient. This is what Daniel said to me. I, a woman who gave up her career to take care of her family, was judged as inconvenient by my husband. The other woman, the one who does not need to take care of the family, cook, pick up the children, or deal with all the chores, is evaluated as more convenient. I'm his mother, I said, my voice starting to shake. Of course you are, Daniel said, sounding like he was trying to calm a raging child, but it's just an administrative arrangement, Emily. You're too sensitive. Too sensitive. Those 2 words again. Every time I felt something was wrong, Daniel would say, you're too sensitive. Every time I questioned him, he said, you're too sensitive. Every time I was about to encounter the truth, he would say, you are too sensitive. This is his weapon, a weapon packaged with rationality and calmness, used to chop off all my doubts and anger until I become a nodding, docile woman who won't cause any trouble. Sophia stood aside and said nothing, but there was something in her eyes when she looked at me. It wasn't sympathy or guilt, it was patience. She was waiting for me to explode, for me to turn into a hysterical, unreasonable woman so that everyone would see that Daniel was right and that I was the one with the problem. I won't let her succeed. I put the emergency contact card back into the folder, slowly and steadily. I looked at Daniel, at Sophia behind him, and at Lucas who just ran back from the bathroom. I know. I said. Then I walked upstairs and closed the bedroom door. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked out the window at the backyard. That lawn was planted with grass seeds by my own hands. Every spring I would squat on the ground, scatter seeds one by one, then water, fertilize, and mow. When Lucas was 3 years old, I took him to play football on this lawn for the first time. He fell down, bruised his knee, and cried a lot. I carried him and ran for 2 blocks before I found a pharmacy that was still open, and bought Band-Aids and iodophor. After I got home, he fell asleep, and I sat by his bed and watched him for 2 hours. The lawn is now well grown, green and as flat as a carpet. Daniel never touched the lawn, he said it was my business. I thought of what Daniel said, Sophia can give Lucas a better life. Better life. What is a better life? Is it more Lego? Are they more expensive clothes? A more elaborate breakfast? Or a mother who doesn't need to worry about daily necessities and is always bright and beautiful? Lucas said he wanted Sophie to be his mother. A 10-year-old kid who didn't know what he wanted. But he thought he knew because his dad told him Sophia was better. I opened the closet and took out a suitcase. I started to put clothes inside, not a lot, just a few changes. I had no plans to move, I just needed to get out of the house for a few hours, somewhere without Daniel, without Sophia, without Lucas, to be alone for a while. But when I opened the innermost drawer of the closet, I saw the box of notes. I knelt down, opened the box, and picked up the top sheet. Emily, you are the most beautiful light I have ever seen. Daniel, March 2013. I held the note in my hand so tightly that the edge of the paper cut my palm, but I felt no pain. I looked at the note, at those words that once moved my heart and made me feel seen. Then I took out my phone and opened Sophia's Instagram. I scrolled down and found a photo from 3 months ago. It was a weekend afternoon, and Sophia posted a photo of her and Lucas rowing in Central Park with the caption, "Afternoon with my boys." Daniel commented below, "Looks like fun." I continue to turn. 2 months ago, Sophia posted a photo of a dinner she cooked, beautifully presented, with the caption, "Tonight's special menu." Daniel's hand can be seen at the edge of the photo, wearing his wedding ring. I continue to turn. A month ago, Sophia posted a photo in a hotel room, with the Manhattan skyline outside the window, and the caption had only one word, "Weekend." Daniel said he was in Chicago on business that day. I put the phone on the ground and looked at the box of notes, at the faded handwriting, and at the lies written by the man I thought would love me forever. He didn't choose Sophia because she was better. He was because Sophia was more like himself, successful, glamorous, and not needing to sacrifice for anyone. He needs a woman who can stand side by side with him in the spotlight, not a woman who washes dishes in the kitchen, scatters grass seeds on the lawn, and reads bedtime stories to his children late at night. And I, for the sake of this family, have become a person he doesn't want. The cruelest thing in the world is not being abandoned, but when you give up everything for someone, and then he discovers that you, who gave up everything, are no longer worthy of standing by his side. I sat in front of that drawer for an hour. Then I stood up, walked to the bathroom, and stood in front of the mirror. I looked at the woman in the mirror. She was wearing a pilled gray sweater, jeans with paint stains on the knees, her hair was a mess, her face was makeup-free, and her eyes were dull. She looks like a stranger that I spent 7 years creating with my own hands. I picked up my phone, turned on the front camera, and pointed it at my face. I saw the fine lines at the corners of my eyes, the nasolabial folds, the sagging skin, and the tired eyes. I saw a 35-year-old woman, a woman whose edges had been smoothed away by life, a woman who had forgotten how to shine. Then I opened Sophia's Instagram and looked at her latest selfie. 42 years old, she has firm skin and a bright smile. She wears fitness clothes, revealing a flat belly and tight arms. The caption read, "Age is just a number." I turned off my phone and looked at myself in the mirror. It's not that she is better than me. It's that she has never given up all of herself like me. She never gave up herself for anyone. She had been building herself up, and I had been dismantling myself, brick by brick, until all that was left was a pile of rubble. And now, she stands on my ruins, smiling and saying, "This was always my place." That night, I didn't go downstairs to eat. Daniel came up and knocked on the door and said that Sophia had made a lot and wanted to eat together. I said I'm not hungry. He didn't insist. I heard laughter coming from downstairs, Lucas the loudest, saying, "Sophia, you are so funny." Then there was the sound of clinking cutlery, then the sound of the television, and then silence. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. The lights downstairs were still on. I went downstairs and saw Sophia's coat still hanging in the entrance hall, next to Daniel's suit jacket. The two coats were hung together, and the colors matched like a couple's outfit. There were still dishes that had not been cleared away in the kitchen, and there were 3 plates, 2 wine glasses, and a knife soaked in the sink. There is a lipstick mark on the edge of the wine glass, which is the color of bean paste, Sophia's color. I opened the refrigerator and took out a carton of milk. The carton of milk Daniel asked for, and the carton he asked me to buy, still had more than half of it left. I put it on the counter and looked at it. Then I saw something in the corner of the kitchen table, Lucas's school homework book. I opened it and saw the latest page, which was the diary written by him. "Sophia came to my house to cook today. Dad was very happy, and so was I. Mom was not happy, but she is always like this. Dad said she was very stressed and asked me not to disturb her. I think Sophia is more suitable to be my mother, because she always laughs, and my mother always cries. I don't like my mother crying, and that makes me feel like it's my fault." I closed the homework book and put it back where it belonged. "It's not your fault, Lucas. It's never your fault. It was my fault. I forgot that before I became a mother, I was first and foremost a human being. She is a woman with dreams, talent, and who deserves to be loved. It was me who allowed Daniel to take everything away from me, little by little, until I had nothing left. I chose to give up on my former self, and then I was surprised to find that everyone else chose to give up on me." I picked up the carton of milk and poured it into the sink. The sound of milk flowing into the sewer is like a ritual, a kind of farewell. I went back upstairs and turned on my computer. I logged into Instagram, the account that had 1.2 million followers but hadn't been updated in 2 years. I clicked on the private message and saw countless messages, most of which were, "Are you okay? Where have you been? We miss your work." I clicked on the top one, from a user named Jessica Wang. "Emily, I don't know why you disappeared, but your works once saved me. When I was most depressed, it was your photos that made me feel that there is still light in the world. No matter what you are going through, please remember that you deserve to be seen." I stared at this message for a long time. Then I opened the photo album and turned to the last work I took. It was a photo of Lucas when he was 2 years old. He was running in the sun, his shadow was stretched very long, and the whole picture was golden. That was my last picture and I never picked up a camera again. I exported it, toned it, added filters, and published it. The caption has only one sentence: "I'm back." The moment it was sent, the phone began to vibrate crazily. Likes, comments, retweets, the numbers are growing rapidly. I saw tons of "Oh my gosh, you're finally back, we've waited so long for you, welcome back Emily" messages. I turned off my phone and put it on my bedside table. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in front of the window and watched the sky change from black to dark blue, from dark blue to light blue, and from light blue to pink. When the sun rose over the horizon, the entire backyard was illuminated, and the dewdrops on the lawn I planted glistened in the sunlight. Very beautiful. It's been a long time since I thought something was beautiful. If a photographer loses the ability to discover beauty, she will die. And I, for the past 7 years, have been dying slowly and quietly. Now, as I looked at the lawn, the sunshine, and the dew, something began to loosen in my heart. It's not resurrection, it's loosening. Like a frozen person, he begins to feel the blood flowing through his veins again. That feeling hurts. But pain means being alive. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Daniel went downstairs. When he passed the bedroom, the door was open, and he saw me sitting on a chair in front of the window, wearing a white t-shirt, with my hair loose and no makeup. "You didn't sleep all night?" he asked. "Yeah." He walked in and stood in front of me. The sun shines on his face, and his blue eyes look clear and beautiful in the light. This man, I loved him with all my strength, without reservation. I even feel that if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. But I was wrong. Not because of Daniel, but because of myself. I chose to give up on myself, I chose to put all the weight on him, and I chose him as the only reason for my existence. It was a mistake, one that took me 7 years to see. "Emily, we need to talk." He sat on the edge of the bed, his voice calm. "Okay. Sophia and I, we are not who you think we are." I looked at him. He didn't look at me, he was looking out the window, looking at the lawn. "What's that like?" I asked. He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Sophia understands me. She has her own career, she has her own life, she is not someone who needs my constant care." "You need care?" He finally turned to look at me. "You complain every day, Emily. Complain about being tired. Complaining about not having time for yourself, complaining about me not helping you. How do you think this makes me feel? I work 12 hours a day at the company and come home to an unhappy wife. Do you think this is fair?" "Fair." He talks to me about fairness. I gave up my career, social life, and all my hobbies, and spent 7 years doing one thing, making this family work. And he told me that this was unfair because he worked 12 hours at the company and had to face an unhappy me when he went home. "Daniel," I said, "have you ever thought that I'm unhappy because I've lost myself? That's your own choice." He said without any hesitation in his tone. "No one forces you to give up photography. It's your decision." My own decision. Yes, it's my own decision. But every one of those decisions was made after he said, "You should. You should rest. You should focus on family. You should not leave your son. You don't need to work. You should put family first." Each "you should" is a brick, and he builds it up one by one, surrounding me until I can no longer see the sky. Then he told me that I chose to walk into this wall. "You're right," I said, "it was my decision." He was stunned for a moment, obviously not expecting this answer. "So now I have to decide another thing myself." "What?" "I'm moving out." His expression changed. Not surprised, not panic, but something more complicated, trouble. What he saw was not "my wife is leaving me," but "my life is going to be disrupted." "Where are you moving to?" he asked. "Don't know yet. But I'll find a place." "What about Lucas?" "Lucas." He didn't even ask "what do we do?" He asked "what do Lucas do?" Because in his heart, we are no longer us. "Lucas has Sophia," I said. When I said this sentence, I thought I would cry. But I didn't. My eyes were dry and my voice was flat, like a bystander stating the facts. Daniel looked at me and moved his lips as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he said nothing. He stood up, walked to the door, and paused. "Are you sure?" "Okay." He's gone. The footsteps faded in the corridor, then the sound of him coming downstairs, then the sound of the coffee machine in the kitchen, then the sound of Lucas's footsteps running downstairs after getting up, and then his voice, "Will Sophia come today?" Then the door closed. I sat in front of the window and watched the sunlight fill the room bit by bit. I picked up my phone and saw that the photo I posted last night already had 300,000 likes and more than 1,000 comments. Most were saying welcome back, but there were a few different ones. Here's one from someone I don't know. "In the past few years since you disappeared, I thought you gave up. I'm glad you didn't." I turned off my phone, stood up, and walked to the closet. I took out a suitcase and started packing. Not just a few changes of clothes, but everything. My clothes, my books, my camera, my box of notes, my award certificate. I packed for an hour and then dragged my suitcase downstairs. Lucas was watching cartoons in the living room, and his eyes widened when he saw me dragging the box down. "Mom, where are you going?" I knelt down and looked level with him. There was something in his blue eyes that I had never seen before: fear. This 10-year-old kid, he thought he wanted mommy Sophie Adam, but when he saw that I was actually leaving, he was scared. Mom is going to live for a while, I said. Why? Because mommy needs some time to herself. Don't you want me anymore? This question was like a knife stabbing directly into my chest. I looked into his eyes, which were exactly the same as Daniel's, but what I saw was not Daniel's indifference, but the fear of a child. No, I said, Mom will always want you. But she also needs to be herself. He doesn't understand. He is only 10 years old and he doesn't understand what being yourself means. He only knew that his mother was leaving, taking a suitcase and walking out of the house. Then when will you come back? I don't know. His lips began to tremble and his eyes turned red. He rushed towards me and hugged me tightly, like a drowning man holding on to the last driftwood. Mom, don't go. I won't call Sophia Mom anymore. I won't push you anymore. Don't go. I held him, feeling his little body trembling in my arms. I closed my eyes and smelled the smell of his hair, the smell of the baby shampoo I'd been using for 7 years. Lucas, I said, Mom loves you. Will always love you. But she also needs to be loved. Not the kind of love that you need, but the kind of love that a whole, real Emily deserves. He doesn't understand. He didn't understand what I said. But he knew one thing: his mother was leaving. I let go of him, stood up, and dragged my suitcase to the door. Daniel stood in the doorway of the kitchen, a cup of coffee in his hand, looking at me. His expression was complicated, not sad, not angry, but an expression I had never seen on his face before: confusion. He didn't understand why a woman he thought would stay here forever suddenly decided to leave. Emily, he said, you need to think clearly. I figured it out. I thought about it for 7 years and finally figured it out. Daniel, I said, you're right about the emergency contact. Sophia is indeed more convenient. Because she doesn't have to take care of anyone, she can answer the phone at any time. And me, because you turned me into a person who only has to take care of others, I am inconvenient in the eyes of anyone. Including you. He opened his mouth but said nothing. I opened the door and the sun shone in, making my eyes sting. Mom! Lucas shouted from behind. I didn't look back. It's not that I'm cruel, it's because if I look back, I will stay. If I had stayed, I would have continued to be a woman washing dishes in the kitchen, a woman scattering grass seeds on the lawn, a woman reading bedtime stories to my children late at night. A shadow wanted by everyone but wanted by no one. I put the suitcase in the trunk and got into the driver's seat. I looked at the house in the rearview mirror, the house I'd lived in for 7 years, the house I thought would be my forever home. Then I started the car. I drove into Brooklyn, a neighborhood I hadn't been to in a long time. There was a coffee shop there that I used to go to before I got pregnant. The owner was a photographer named Michael, who had photographed many album covers of independent musicians. When I opened the door, the bell in the coffee shop rang. Michael was standing behind the bar. The moment he saw me, he froze. Emily? Hi, Michael. Oh my God, you. He put down the cup in his hand and walked around the bar. Are you okay? Not good. He looked at me without questioning. He just nodded and said, sit down and I'll make you a cup of coffee. I sat by the window and looked out at the street. This neighborhood in Brooklyn is different from what I remembered. There are many new stores, many more young faces, and something that I haven't felt for a long time: vitality. Michael placed the coffee in front of me and sat across from me. You disappeared for a long time. What happens? I lost myself. He looked at me and was silent for a while. Then he said, so have you got it back now? I looked at the coffee in the cup and watched the milk foam slowly spread out on the surface, forming patterns one after another. Looking for it. That night, I stayed in an Airbnb, a small, one-bedroom apartment, but it was clean, with large windows and a view of the Manhattan skyline. I put the suitcase in the corner, sat on the bed, and took out my phone. 37 unread messages. Most of them are from Daniel, and some are from people I don't know, who probably followed my account after seeing the photos I posted. Message from Daniel, where are you? Lucas was crying. It's not fair to Lucas. Sophia said you can calm down, but you can't not answer the phone. Emily, you are so immature. I turned to the last one, which was the voice message from Lucas. I clicked on it and heard his voice, crying, Mom, I miss you. After I listened, I put my phone next to my pillow and didn't reply. It's not that I don't want to go back. But if I reply, I will be soft-hearted. If I relented, I would go back. If I went back, nothing would change. I will continue to be the woman who washes dishes in the kitchen, the woman who spreads grass seeds on the lawn, and the woman who reads bedtime stories to her children late at night. Lucas will continue to call Sophia mom, and Daniel will continue to write Sophia's name on the emergency contact card. I need to do one thing, make myself the person that no one can replace me. The next morning, the first thing I did after getting up was not to wash my face or brush my teeth, but to turn on my computer and log into my old email. I found that email from 3 years ago, from a photo editor at the New York Times Magazine. I clicked on the reply box, and this time, I didn't hesitate. Hello, I'm Emily Carter. 3 years ago you asked me if I was ready. I want to tell you that I'm ready. Send. Then I opened Instagram and started looking through photos I had taken over the past 7 years. Not those professional works, but those photos I took casually with my mobile phone and never posted. The moment Lucas fell while walking for the first time, he cried and reached out for a hug. The first time Lucas ate by himself he got ketchup all over him. The first time Lucas rode his bike I chased after him. Lucas runs laughing under the cherry blossom trees in Central Park. None of these photos are perfect. The lighting is wrong, the composition is bad, and the focus is out of focus. But there is something in every one of them, reality. Something I haven't seen in photography for a long time. I selected 9, put them into a 9-square grid, and published them. Caption: What a mother learned in 7 years, truth is more important than perfection. As soon as I posted it, the comments started coming. Not a so beautiful comment, but something deeper and more real. This photo made me cry. I saw myself reflected in it. I'm a stay-at-home mom too, thank you for letting me know I'm not alone. What you took is not a photo, it is the truth. I looked at these comments and suddenly realized something. I didn't get 2 million followers just because I took perfect photos. I did it because I took real photos. There is something in those photos that I am not even aware of: vulnerability, struggle, uncertainty, but there is also something deeper and more resilient, alive. I picked up my camera and walked out of the apartment. Early mornings in Brooklyn are beautiful. The sun shines through the gaps between tall buildings, onto the streets, and onto the faces of pedestrians. I took a photo of a hot dog stand selling breakfast. The owner was a Mexican woman in her 60s. Her hands were rough, but her smile was warm. I photographed a girl waiting for the school bus. She was wearing a pink down jacket and had a unicorn pendant hanging on her school bag. Her mother knelt down to help her tie her shoelaces, very slowly and gently. I photographed a stray cat. It was squatting next to the trash can, licking its paws. The sunlight hit its fur, which turned golden. I filmed for 2 hours, and when I got home, there were over 40 unread messages on my phone. Message from Daniel: Where are you? Lucas doesn't want to go to school today. Sophia said he might have missed you. You're hurting him by doing this. News from Lucas: Mom, do you not love me anymore? I looked at Lucas's message, my fingers hovering on the keyboard, typing a few words, and then deleting them. Then I closed the dialog box and opened the chat window with Jessica Wang. Hello, I'm Emily. Thank you for your message yesterday. She replied instantly, Oh my God, Emily. You still remember me? Of course. You said that my works saved you. I want to know, how? Those photos you took, those imperfect and real photos, made me feel that my imperfections were acceptable. I had just divorced at the time and felt like I was worthless, but when I saw your work, I suddenly felt that maybe my brokenness was also a kind of beauty. I looked at this passage and was silent for a long time. And I said, Jessica, do you ever feel like we women are always told to be perfect? The perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect body, the perfect makeup. But no one ever tells us that authenticity is more important than perfection. Yes. That's why we feel worthless when we're broken. But Emily, your work has taught me one thing: brokenness is a value in itself. Just like Japanese kintsugi, using gold to repair broken porcelain, the traces of repair become the most beautiful part. Gold repair. I looked at this word and suddenly felt something explode in my mind. For the past 7 years, I have been trying to be a perfect person, a perfect wife, and a perfect mother. But I've never been perfect. I was broken into many pieces, scattered in every corner of this home. And Daniel, he didn't fix me, he just found someone to replace me who wasn't broken. But brokenness is not the end. Brokenness can also be the starting point. Just like kintsugi, those cracks, if treated correctly, can become the most unique parts. I picked up my camera and took a selfie in the mirror. No makeup, no filters, messy hair, dark circles under eyes, chapped lips. But there was something in my eyes, something I hadn't seen in a long time: light. I posted it on Instagram with the caption, This is me. Broken, real, and mending. Within an hour, it had 500,000 likes. Some people in the comments said, You are very brave. Some said, I am also repairing myself, and some said, thank you for making me feel that I am not alone. But there were also bad comments. Some said, you are trying to gain sympathy, some said, you look 10 years older, and some said, no wonder your husband is looking for someone else. I looked at the bad comments and laughed. Because I know that those who say I am sympathetic never need sympathy. Those who say I am old will never be old. Those who say my husband is looking for someone else are probably going through the same thing. Their malice is not against me, but against the truth that they themselves dare not face. On the third day, I heard back from the New York Times Magazine. Emily, it's great to receive your email. We are currently doing a feature on modern motherhood, and your work and your story are a perfect fit. Would you like to participate? I do. I'd love to. I get to work. I go out every day and take pictures of mothers living in New York. A young mother was breastfeeding in Central Park. Her eyes were tired but tender. A single mother was pushing a shopping cart and a stroller at the same time in the supermarket. She had bruises on her arms, but her back was straight. An African-American mother read a picture book to her children on the subway. Her voice was soft, but every word was clear. An immigrant mother who works as a waitress in a restaurant posts pictures of her children next to the cash register and smiles every time she looks at them. I took pictures for 3 days and took 30 sets of photos. Each set was accompanied by a text to record the stories of these mothers. I organized them into a series called Being Seen. The day it was released, my phone almost exploded. Within an hour, 2 million views. The comments were filled with tears and thanks. One woman said, "This is the first time I feel that as a mother, I am seen." Another woman said, "I am not a mother, but I see the shadow of my mother." Another woman said, "Emily, you are back. The real you." Daniel saw it too. He sent a message, "I saw your work. When did you become so powerful?" I didn't reply. Lucas also sent a message, which was a voice message. I clicked it and heard his voice, very soft and very quiet. "Mom, your photos are beautiful. Sophia said you are doing something great." Sophia said. When I heard this sentence, I had a strange feeling in my heart. Not anger, not jealousy, but something more complex: relief. Sophia finally admitted that I was doing something awesome. But what she didn't say was that I had always been great. But no one saw it. On the 4th day, I did something. I contacted a lawyer, one who specialized in divorce cases. Her name is Sarah Thompson, a woman in her 40s with short hair and glasses. She speaks quickly, but every sentence is precise. "Emily," she said, "why do you want a divorce?" "Because my marriage is gone. What exists is a shell that allows another person to replace me at any time." She looked at me and nodded. "Do you have evidence?" "Evidence?" I turned on my phone and pulled out those screenshots. Sophia's Instagram, Daniel's comments, copies of emergency contact cards, photos of Lucas's diary, and conversations I secretly recorded. Daniel saying Sophia can give him a better life. Daniel saying you have changed. Look at yourself. Daniel saying she is more convenient than you. I sent them all to Sarah. "That's enough," she said. "One more thing," I said. "I want to give up custody of Lucas for now." She froze. "Are you sure?" "Okay." "Why?" "Because Lucas needs to know that mother is not a role that can be replaced at any time. He needs to know that Sophia is not his mother. And I need time to become the mother who deserves to be respected." Sarah looked at me and was silent for a long time. Then she said, "Emily, that's the bravest thing I've ever heard in my 20 years in this industry." "Not brave. Be awake." I went home to my small Airbnb apartment and sat in front of the window, looking at the Manhattan skyline. The phone vibrated. It was Daniel's call. I answered. "Emily, we need to talk." "Say." "Lucas wants to see you. He can meet me at the attorney's office." Silence. "What lawyer?" "My divorce attorney. Sarah Thompson. Her office is in Manhattan. I'll send you the address." "What are you talking about?" "I'm saying, Daniel, our marriage is over." He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Is it because of Sophia?" "It's not because of Sophia. It's because of you. Because you made me feel like I wasn't good enough, and then you found someone to prove it to me." "Emily, do you know what's the cruelest thing? It's not your relationship with Sophia. It's you who made Lucas believe that Sophia is better than me. You made him believe that his biological mother is an unqualified person who needs to be replaced. Daniel, what you ruined is not my marriage, but my relationship with my son." It was quiet on his side. I heard his breathing, heavy and rapid. "That's not what I meant," he said. "You are. You always have been. You have Sophia in Lucas' school documents, you have her recorded as his mother, you have him call her mom. Do you know what that means to a child? You are teaching him that mothers are replaceable. You are teaching him that love is conditional. You are teaching him that a person's worth is determined by her appearance and income. I didn't, you have. Every time you say, Sophia can give him a better life, you are telling him that his biological mother is not good enough. Every time you let Sophia appear in the home, you are telling him that this home does not need the original hostess. Every time you change the emergency contact, you are telling him that mother is just an administrative position and can be replaced by anyone. He stopped talking. Daniel, I'm not going to let Lucas grow up in a family that thinks his mother is replaceable. I'm not going to let him turn into another you. I hung up the phone. Then I sent Lucas a message. Lucas, Mommy loves you. Love you forever. But Mom needs to do something. Do something to make her the mom she deserves to be loved by you again. Until then, you and Dad have a good life. Sophia can take care of you. But you have to remember one thing, she is not your mother. You came from my belly and you are a part of me, forever. He didn't reply. But I know he saw it. The next day, my work being seen was officially published by the New York Times Magazine. They selected 10 photos and accompanied them with a long article titled The Vanishing Mother, Emily Carter and the World She Saw. After the article was published, my Instagram followers increased from 1.2 million to 3 million. Messages came in from all over the world, different languages, different skin colors, different ages, but they all said the same thing, thank you. Thank you for seeing them. But I knew in my heart that these photos were not about them. These photos are about me. It was me who saw myself in them. That young mother breastfeeding in Central Park, her exhaustion and tenderness, was me. That single mother pushing a shopping cart in the supermarket, her tenacity and loneliness, is me. That African-American mother reading a picture book to her child on the subway, her patience and love, was me. That immigrant mother who works as a waitress in a restaurant, her hopes and struggles, are me. We are all mothers. We are all broken. We are all tinkering with ourselves. A week later, I met Daniel at the attorney's office. He came alone, without a lawyer, wearing the same navy blue suit and neat tie, but there were dark circles under his eyes and he looked 5 years older than a week ago. Sarah sat next to me and pushed the papers in front of him. Mr. Daniel, this is the divorce agreement. Emily does not ask for any property division, she only wants her personal belongings and her car. Regarding Lucas' custody, she is temporarily giving up, but retaining visitation rights. Daniel looked at me with something in his eyes that I had never seen before, shock. You don't want Lucas, he asked. It's not that I don't want to, I said, it's that I want to give up temporarily. I need time. What time? The time to become that person who will never be replaced by anyone. He fell silent. Daniel, do you know why Lucas calls Sophia Mom? It's not because he really thinks she is his mom. It's because you tell him she is. A 10-year-old kid learns his values from his parents. You tell him Sophia is better, and he believes it. You tell him I'm not good enough, and he believes it. I didn't, you do. Every time you praise Sophia in front of me, every time you let Sophia replace me, every time you change the emergency contact, you tell him. You don't say it with your mouth, you say it with your actions. And actions are more powerful than words. He lowered his head and looked at the table. Emily, I don't know. What don't you know? Don't you know what you're doing? Or don't you know I'm leaving? I didn't know you would be so. So what? So sober? So decisive? So unlike the woman washing dishes in the kitchen? He stopped talking. Daniel, do you know what's the most ironic thing? You made me give up everything, and then you despised me for having nothing. You made me become a housewife, and then you despised me for being just a housewife. You put me in a cage, and then you despised me for not being able to fly. Sarah touched my arm gently to calm me down. But I'm calm. I've never been so calm. Daniel, sign it. He picked up the pen, his hand shaking. He signed it. After signing, he raised his head and looked at me. Lucas wants to see you. I know. When will you come? When I feel like I can be there for him as a mother, not as a person who needs to be pitied. He stood up, walked to the door, and paused. Emily, I'm sorry. I looked at him. This man, the man I once loved, the man I gave up everything for. His apology came too late. It's late and I don't need it anymore. It doesn't matter. I said. Then he left. Sarah looked at me with something in her eyes, respect. You're amazing, Emily. It's not amazing. It's just that I finally woke up. 2 weeks later, I hit 5 million Instagram followers. My work being seen was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize for feature photography. Major media began to invite me for interviews, including CNN, NBC, The New Yorker, and Vogue. I rejected most and only accepted a few. One of them was an in-depth interview with the New York Times. The reporter asked me, do you think the 7 years you spent disappearing were worth it? I thought about it for a long time. It wasn't worth it, I said, but those times taught me what it was worth. The reporter asked again, what advice do you have for other women going through the same dilemma? Find your camera, I said, whatever your camera is. It can be a pen, a brush, a computer, or even just a journal. Find it and use it to record your brokenness. Because your brokenness is your strongest part. After the interview was posted, I received countless additional messages. One came from a woman I didn't know. I'm a stay-at-home mom who gave up my career 3 years ago. After reading your story, I decided to pick up my painting again. Thank you. I looked at this message and smiled. Then I made another decision. I opened Instagram and posted a post. Next Friday, I'm going to have a photography exhibition. The venue is the whole gallery in Chelsea. The theme is golden repair, broken repair. All pieces will be auctioned off and proceeds will be donated to the Single Mom Assistance Fund. The post was shared 100,000 times within half an hour. On opening day, there was a line for 3 blocks outside the gallery. I stood at the door, wearing a black dress, my hair down, and light makeup. I held a glass of champagne in my hand, not to drink it, but to have something to hold. My agent, David, came over and said in a low voice, Emily, Sophia Black is outside. She wants to come in. Sophia. Here she comes. I thought about it. Let her in. When Sophia walked in, everyone in the gallery turned to her. Wearing a white dress, her hair tied up, and diamond earrings, she looked like she had stepped off the cover of a magazine. She stood in front of my works and looked at them one by one. Are there any photos of her breastfeeding in Central Park among those works? No. Are there any photos of her pushing a shopping cart in the supermarket? No. Are there any pictures of her working as a waitress in a restaurant? No. The person in those photos is not me. But they are all me. Every mother who is broken, repaired, and trying to survive is me. Sophia walked to the last photo and paused. That photo was of myself, in front of the Airbnb mirror, with messy hair, no makeup, and dark circles under my eyes. But there is light in the eyes. She looked at it for a long time. Then she turned and looked at me. Our eyes met in the crowd. There was something in her eyes that I had never seen before, not hostility, not arrogance, but something more complex, confusion. What is she confused about? Confused, how can I go from a broken housewife to a person who is followed by 5 million people? Confused, why can I stand up again after being abandoned by everyone? Confused why I didn't disappear like she expected? I walked towards her. Sophia. Emily. We stood facing each other. The light in the gallery shone on her face, and her makeup was still perfect, but I saw a few fine lines under her eyes that the foundation couldn't cover. Your work is very good, she said. Thank you. Do you hate me? I thought about it. No. Why? Because you did what I was supposed to do. She froze. You should hate me, she said. I should hate a lot of people. I should hate Daniel. I should hate you. I should hate the people who hurt me when I was at my most vulnerable. But it takes energy to hate someone, and my energy needs to be used for more important things. She looked at me, her lips moved, but she didn't speak. Sophia, do you know you won? I said. What? You win. You get Daniel, you get Lucas, you get that home. You win. What about you? I got myself. Her eyes were red. I looked at her and suddenly felt less scary. She is just a woman who uses perfection to cover up her insecurities, a woman who thinks that possessing other people's things can fill her own emptiness. Lucas wants to see you, she said. I know. He asks every day. I know. Then why don't you go? I looked into her eyes. Because if I go now, he will think that I go because I miss him. But he needs to know that a mother exists not because her children need her, but because she deserves to be needed. She doesn't understand. She may never understand. Because she is not a mother. She is someone who plays a mother. Sophia, do me a favor. What? Take good care of Lucas. Not with Lego and sushi, but with patience and companionship. What he needs is not a perfect mother, he needs a real person who will read him bedtime stories late at night. She nodded. Then I turned and walked away. The exhibition was a success. All works sold out within 2 hours, bringing in a total of $1.2 million. I donated it all to the Single Mom Assistance Fund. That night, I returned to my apartment and sat in front of the window, looking at the Manhattan skyline. The phone vibrated with a message from Lucas. Mom, I saw you on TV. You are so beautiful. I looked at this message and smiled. Then I replied, Lucas, Mom saw you too. You are so handsome. Mom, when will you come to see me? Soon. How fast? When Mom is ready. Prepare for what? Get ready to be a mom you're proud of. You are worthy of pride now. My classmates all say you are so cool. I read this message and tears fell. Not tears of sadness, tears of feeling that I was finally seen. That night, I lay in bed, picked up my camera, and took a photo of the ceiling. There was a water stain on the ceiling shaped like a butterfly. I tinted it, added filters, and posted it. Caption, breaking out of the cocoon. On the third day, I received a call. It's Lucas' school calling. Ms. Carter, Lucas was beaten by a classmate at school today. We need you to come over here. My heart skipped a beat. Where's his dad? We called Mr. Daniel, but he said he was in a meeting and couldn't come. The emergency contact was Ms. Sophia Black, but she said she was in Los Angeles on business. So I became that convenient person again. The mother who is always convenient when it is inconvenient for everyone. I hung up the phone, picked up the car keys, and drove 20 minutes to the school. Lucas was sitting in the principal's office. There was a red mark on his face, and the corner of his mouth was broken and bleeding. He was holding a teddy bear. I gave him a teddy bear on his 3rd birthday. It was very old and the hair was worn off, but he kept it with him. The moment he saw me, he rushed over, hugged me, and cried, "Mom." I held him and felt his body shaking. He cried hard, his shoulders hunched up and down, and his face was covered with snot and tears. "What's wrong?" I squatted down and wiped the blood from his face. They said I didn't have a mother. They said Sophia wasn't the real mother. They said my real mother didn't want me. I looked at him, his blue eyes full of tears, the blood at the corner of his mouth, and his hand holding the teddy bear tightly. "Lucas, look at me." He raised his head and looked at me. "Mom will never want you. But Mom needs you to understand one thing." "What?" "Mom is a complete person. She is not your accessory, not your father's accessory, and not anyone else's accessory. Mom has dreams, talents, and things she wants to do. This will not make me a person who doesn't love you. It will only make me a person more worthy of your love." He nodded in understanding. The principal came over, a white woman in her 50s, wearing glasses and with a serious expression. "Ms. Carter, the child who hit Lucas has been suspended. But we need to discuss Lucas' situation." "What's going on?" "He's been absent from school a lot recently and hasn't handed in his homework. His guardian has changed again and again, and we don't know who to contact. His condition is very bad." I looked at Lucas. He lowered his head and said nothing. "Principal, from today on, I am Lucas's only contact. If you have any questions about him, please contact me." Lucas raised his head and looked at me, with a glint in his eyes. I took Lucas back to my apartment. It was a small apartment with only one bedroom, but it had huge windows and a view of the Manhattan skyline. He stood at the door, looking at this strange place, a little nervous. "Mom, do you live here?" So small. But it's freeing." He doesn't understand. But he came in, sat on the couch, and held the teddy bear in his arms. "Mom, will you still leave?" I sat next to him and looked into his eyes. "Lucas, Mom is never leaving again. But Mom needs you to understand one thing." "What?" "From today on, our relationship will be different. I will no longer be your mother 24 hours a day. I will be a mother with my own life. I needed to take pictures, I needed to work, I needed to do a lot. But I will always be your mom." He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Can you read me a bedtime story?" "Can tonight?" "Tonight." That night, I read The Little Prince to him. My voice didn't choke when I read the fox saying, "You are always responsible for what you tame." Because this time, I know that I am not the one who is tamed. I am the tamer. I choose to tame myself and then choose to be responsible for that choice. Lucas fell asleep, still clutching the teddy bear. I looked at him, at the wound at the corner of his mouth, at the red marks on his face, and at his sleeping face that finally relaxed. I picked up my camera and took a photo. Not for publication, just to remember this moment. A mother and a son stay together quietly for the first time after being broken. 2 months later, the divorce became official. I didn't go to court. Sarah went on my behalf. Daniel didn't go either, he sent a lawyer. What I got, my personal belongings, my car, my camera, and weekly weekend visitation rights for Lucas. What Daniel got, the house, the lawn, and Sophia. What Lucas got, 2 homes. A big one and a small one. A perfect one, a true one. One who doesn't need him and one who needs him. But that's not the end of the story. Because the story has no ending. 3 months later, my photography exhibition toured London, Paris, and Tokyo. The Being Seen series has been translated into 12 languages and sparked a global conversation about motherhood. I was on the cover of Time magazine with the headline, "The Vanished Mother Returns." But that's not what I care about most. What I care about most is one thing: Lucas' composition. I went to pick him up from school that day, and his teacher came over and handed me a piece of paper. "Miss Carter, this is the essay Lucas wrote recently. I think you should read it." I opened the paper and saw Lucas's handwriting, which was crooked but serious. The title of the composition is My Mother. My mom's name is Emily. She's a photographer. She takes a lot of photos, and the people in those photos are moms. She said those mothers were all hers. I don't really understand, but I think she's awesome. She wasn't great before. She used to be in the kitchen all the time, always tired, always crying. But now she is very powerful. She can take photos, hold exhibitions, and appear on TV. My classmates all said she was so cool. But I think these are not the coolest things. The cool thing is, she never gave up on me. Even when I called someone mom, even when I pushed her, even when I said the cake she made was ugly, she never gave up on me. My mother said that love is not because you deserve it, but because she chooses to be. I feel like she made the best choice in the world by choosing me. When I finished reading, my eyes were wet. Lucas ran out of the classroom, saw me, and smiled. That smile was exactly the same as when he was 3 years old under the cherry blossom trees in Central Park. "Mom." He ran over and hugged me. "Mom, what should we eat today? What do you want to eat? Everything you cook is delicious." I laughed. "Let's go," I said, "go home." We walked out of school and the sun hit us. Lucas walked next to me, his hand holding mine. His hand was small but warm. I looked up at the sky. The blue sky and white clouds were as blue as that afternoon in Paris 11 years ago. I looked down at Lucas. He was looking up at me, his eyes full of light. "Mom," he said, "will you ever leave again?" "No more." "Real?" "Real. But you have to promise me one thing." "What?" "Never let anyone tell you who your mother is. You know. You always knew." He nodded. We were walking home and passed the hot dog stand. The Mexican woman was still there. Her hands were still rough, but her smile was still warm. I raised my camera and took a photo. Not for publication, just to remember this moment. A mother. A son. A way home. That night, after Lucas fell asleep, I sat at the window and looked at the Manhattan skyline. The phone vibrated. It was a private message. "Emily, I'm a single mom with 2 kids, no job, no money, no hope. After reading your story, I thought maybe I could too. Maybe I can become someone worthy of being seen." I replied to her, "You don't have to be anyone. You just have to become yourself. That true, broken, mending self. Because that's the most powerful part of you." After sending it, I turned off my phone, picked up my camera, and took a photo outside the window. The Manhattan skyline sparkled in the night like a necklace studded with diamonds. I adjusted the colors, added filters, and posted. Caption, "Golden Repair. Mend the broken with gold." It's not to hide the cracks, it's to make the cracks the most unique part. Then I put down the camera, walked to Lucas' room, and tucked him in. He turned over in his sleep and muttered, "Mom." I touched his hair and said softly, "I'm here." Then I walked out of the room, closed the door, and stood in the hallway. My works are hung on the walls of the corridor. Pictures of mothers who are broken, mended, and trying to live. I looked at them and they looked at me. We are all mothers. We are all broken. We are all tinkering with ourselves. And in the process, we become the most unique part not because we are perfect, but because we choose to repair ourselves with gold after being broken. That gold is nothing else. Is the truth. It's true. It's the only important thing we finally learned. See yourself.